we're trying to, really improve the community in the city, but not grow it, not turn it into the next sister, so to speak, but just make it a good community for those that live there.
Welcome to Shaping the Basin. I am here with Robert. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for
Good.
having me.
You are part of, you've been keep mentioning is CVIP. Tell us what that is.
CVIP is kind of our abbreviation for Chilcoin Visions in Progress. It's a community-based organization, nonprofit. It's celebrated over 30 years ago, just a year or two ago. It was founded by quite a few people in hopes of building a community center. Back at that time, my understanding was the Chiloquin Library kept opening and closing because it kept getting bounced out of buildings. So they wanted a community center. They wanted a permanent home for the library. And so they came together, started fundraising, and eventually built a community center, which celebrated 20 years ago, a few years ago. So we're really pleased with how everything has turned out.
So it owns and operates the community center
Mhm.
there, but you do some other things. You, in May, you did some candidate forum, or April, I guess you did some candidate forums. What other kinds of things does
Yeah.
the organization do?
So our core programs, of course, is a community center, and then after that, we have what we call the Two Rivers Art Gallery and Gift Shop, which supports over 100 local regional artists, and it's an all volunteer-based program, and it's also an information center, so people coming in off 97 can find out what's going on in that region and area. And then we have what we call Chilcoin Learns After School class, and that's a after school program at the elementary school in Chiloquin, and it's K through 6. And it's right now it's packed. We've got 40 kids, and it's being run by Sammy Jackson. She's doing a phenomenal job. We started a new program last year. It's called Everything's Chiloquin Teen Adventure Camp, CTAC. And it was a really wonderful experience. We brought in a bunch of other nonprofit people like Friends of the Children and other different groups. And, what is needed? We were looking at their gaps are, what we might be able to go after. And what bubbled up to the top was a summer program. So we ended up putting it together. We went after and secured several grants. Last year was our first year. We're getting ready for it again. It'll start in July. It runs for 6 weeks, Monday through Friday, 9 to 3, and it'll take the kids and we take them all over the place. So we have each week's a themed week. So we have like bike week and art week, water week, etc. And they get taken all over the county and get to do different things. One of the things we're looking at doing this year that'll be new is take them up to the High Desert Museum. And so that's, again, the middle school and high school age kids. And we are trying to do more and more senior programs. We've been trying to do a fitness program, but it's been difficult to find a instructor in the area who'd be willing to volunteer for that. And then we just do all kinds of projects. We see a need or something, and it's something we can do. We go after it. A couple of years ago, we got a grant from Pacific Power and put in two EV chargers in Chiloquin. And it was actually, I got a kick out of it when our board president, John Rademacher, did the opening ceremony for it. He was basically stating that, well, Chiloquin has no gas station, but we now have EV chargers. And I've been amazed at how much they get used. Every time I drive by, somebody is there charging. We had calls during Ride the Ram to, hey, are they working? Because we want to bring our EV vehicle and we need to make sure we can charge. We've helped with bringing in ambulance and fire engines and big water tank for Chiloquin Fire and Rescue at one of the remote stations. So we've just done all kinds of things over the years.
Yeah, I like that. You see a need and you work on it.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. How long have you been in Chiloquin? Did you grow up there?
No, transplant from California. My wife and I moved up of almost 10 years ago. And we actually came here to retire.
And you went straight to the Chiloquin area?
Yeah, we were looking all around. We kind of started our search in Medford and got communicated by a realtor that they thought Klamath Falls would be better suited for what we were looking. And so then we shifted our focus there. And it was actually the house. We found a house that meet our needs. We had kind of specific needs we were looking for. And we found the perfect house. And it happened to be in Chiloquin. And I'm actually really glad we did. It's just been great. My wife went to work. Long story, we didn't get to retire like we thought because of family needs, taking care of family. So she ended up going to work at City Hall in Chiloquin and then dragged me into being on the city council.
Mhm.
And so I've been doing that for about 5 years. And then I saw what CVIP was doing and really wanted to work with them. So I got on the board. And then we ended up doing a 5 year strategic plan, and I ended up becoming the executive director to execute that plan.
Okay. How many years are you into that plan?
We're in our third year.
Okay.
So we're right in the middle right now.
Yeah. You feel like you're being successful with that plan, marking things off. I love
Yes,
that.
a lot of things have been going well. Some things have been a little slower, and then new things have come up. So, like the candidate forum, we've done three now, two years ago, and the one, and we'll probably do another one in November. And or before November, and those weren't things that were planned, but my television background was something I saw, hey, this would be great for our community. You get our candidates out to the remote area and get them to be able to talk with our residents and stuff. And so we just end up projects like that. The teen camp was something that was not on our strategic plan. It was looking to do more things for the community, and it just happened to be one of the things that came up. One of the projects that I'll be working on soon is trying to create a business association for our community. We don't have a lot of businesses, but we do have several downtown businesses and others that work in the area, but we have a lot of artists. So 100 artists. We have during the summer months a Friday farmers market. So the goal is to try to bring all those groups together and see how we can build an association that can help them.
That's great. Sometimes I hear people say when they move to a small community, sometimes it can be hard to like break in and involved. Did you find that to be difficult?
No, I think 2 reasons. One is, I just feel like I have rural in my blood. I mean, my grandparents came from Kentucky and Tennessee and used to tell me the stories of growing up, and I always kind of wished I had grown up in those days and times and back there, and I feel like it's different, but I feel like I'm kind of in that environment, and I love it. And then just the people are great. It's a small community, so very soon you start to know almost everybody. In fact, my wife, I think she knows every single person in Chiloquin. And it's just great. It's just being able to talk with people and say, hey, this need. And it's just always wonderful how people start to hear of something and then they jump in and want to help. And it's great.
Yeah. When before you moved here, were you really involved in your community?
Not as much. I've always lived in super large cities, San Jose, LA, San Diego. Um, but kind of always ran. Originally, my career was broadcast television. So I did run into working with lots of different people through that type of line of work and stuff. Um, I did actually, in my very early career, used to cover city council meetings. And so that was kind of something that was always in the back of my head. And so it was like, hey, there's a seat on the city council. I was like, yeah, I always thought it would be interesting to be on city council. So, and it is.
What's been the most interesting thing about city council?
I think just what we're trying to do in Chiloquin. I mean, we celebrated 100 years this year, so our centennial. So we're so excited about that. And we kind of refer to it as preparing for the next 100 years. So we've got the new well going on. We just closed the funding gap for our new waste treatment facility, so that will get started. ODOT is working on what they call a Great Street Project, which will be a new multi-purpose um, uh, walkway, multi-purpose path. That's the term. That'll be from 97 Dollar General all the way to the center of town, and redoing a couple of intersections and creating some sidewalks for our kids who are trying to get to the new bike park and things like that. So it's just the Hervey building was renovated a couple years ago. Another project's going on now. So it's just seeing the things going on.
Mhm.
We're trying to, really improve the community in the city, but not grow it, not turn it into the next sister, so to speak, but just make it a good community for those that live there.
There's been a lot of change in 10 years there.
Yeah.
It probably changed a lot since you arrived.
It has been a lot, and there's still a lot more, and the climate tribes have done so much too with the
Mm,
fitness center and everything that they've been doing as well, and they've been doing some housing and stuff, so it's been great.
that's awesome. How do you, as a city council person in Chiloquin, do you interact a lot with tribal council?
Yes, we do. We do see a lot of changes. I mean, we have changes on council, they have changes on tribal council, and they just went through a big change, so we're kind of reconnecting. But we do also work a lot with the Board of Commissioners here. And then I was for several years on the League of Oregon Cities board. And so that also helped to interface with other cities and learn what they were doing and just be able to go, hey, we're trying to do this. This group, this city over here did it. How can I go learn what worked or what didn't work? So
Yeah.
those connections just always are helpful.
hmm it seems like you really jumped in and got involved and tried to make a difference and doing some of that. Did you ever think you'd run for office?
No.
No.
No, I mean, I like I said, when I was covering it so many years ago, I always thought that would be interesting to do, and so but hadn't really thought about it, and then when it just came up, it just was like it clicked and stuff, but no, I'm not a super big in front people person, I'm more of I like to be behind the scenes, I like to work on projects, that was a lot of what I did when I worked in corporate America, just managing projects and programs and stuff. So I like that. So it's kind of leveraging those skills and abilities to try to help with all the various projects that have been going on.
Mhm. And how many people work with CVIP? How many do you have a board? Do you have how many volunteers?
We have a board of 8, and we're always looking to grow it and looking for more people to come and help us. We're really trying to look at how to take CVIP to the next 30 years. And so we have quite a few volunteers, especially again in the art gallery. That's about a staff of 20 or so volunteers that help there. Um, we have staff for both our class program and CTEC program. Most are paid, but we do have sometimes volunteers that help with that as well too.
It's easy to get lost. Don't know which path to take, what to post. In the social media jungle, video is king. Your kids are obsessed, your customers are addicted, we're all hooked, and social media sites prioritize videos. So when you're ready to stand out from the crowd, reach out to 40 Deuce Films. Feeling over everything.
I imagine I'm curious if you have tips for getting people on the same page to move something forward because it sounds like you guys are doing that really well. And I think sometimes it can be really hard to get groups to come together and have a vision like that.
Well, I think a lot of it started before I was actually there. And that is, really going and listening to the community, having outreach programs, finding out what people need, want, see. And there's been a lot of that. We've had a lot of different activities. One of the things we actually started doing, and we won a LOC award for it, was what we call Chiloquin Connects. Again, Chiloquin's got to be in everything. With so many projects going on, we do need the ability to talk with our residents or and our community members to say, hey, this is kind of what we're thinking, or this is where we're thinking of going. What do you want? What do you need? What do you not like? And it's hard to get that many public meetings going and having enough people attend that you really get good quality feedback. So we landed on the idea of where we would do these quarterly meetings at the community center. And it's kind of like almost like a career fair, I kind of describe it. So we'll set up different tables and we'll be there as a city. CVIP will be there. Chiloquin Fire and Rescue will be there. We have people from Klamath coming down. We'll have Oregon Tech or we'll have KCC or we'll have different groups that'll come in. And basically, ODOT, as they're working on the Great Street projects, they would come there and be at a table. And then we'd be able to share what the project or what the program is or what we're looking to do and be able to get, one on one conversations with people, get surveys, and get that feedback that will help us then map it out. And so that's been really beneficial as we've been doing all kinds of different things, including like a park plan and different things.
Do you have good turnout at those?
We do. We do. We typically see anywhere from 50 to 100 people that'll turn out, which will be very good.
That's awesome. What are some of the things that people would be surprised about Chiloquin right now?
Hmm. Don't know because I don't know all people think about Chiloquin. I think just how much we really everyone loves their community. You
Mhm.
know, it's a small community, but it is. I think probably the biggest thing of surprise is just what all has been going on.
Yeah.
You know, we were at a opening ceremony, and the governor was there, and she made the comment of just can't believe all the things the community is doing, and I just made the comment as popped in my head that we're the little Chilton's little city that could. And she laughed at it. And it's just, it's true. We're a little town, but we've just believed that there are all these different things that we can do. And we've gone after them. Unfortunately, one of our biggest things we did get a setback on. We were approached couple years ago after we were working on the Marquardt building, doing that EPA cleanup. We were actually approached by EPA and a few others to go after a community change grant through them. And we did. We secured it. Kathy Easter is one of people that works with the city, and she's a phenomenal grant writer. And she secured a $16 million EPA grant. And we had to take the building down real quick and everything before we actually submitted the grant. And we got all that done. We got the grant. And then through the administration change, all the EPA grants were pulled. And so we lost it. But it was going to be a new community, city hall and resilient hub and everything, because it's something we lack. We don't really have enough capacity for, when we're in the wintertime or the summertime when we need a cooling shelter or heating shelter, or in the fire seasons when we need a place for people to be able to go. Right now the county's really working on the earthquake potential, volcano potential. So again, that would have been a great, emergency shelter that could have been in place. So we haven't given up on it. We just have to go find another source of funding to do it.
Sure. That happened to a lot of organizations all across the nation,
Yes.
I
Yes.
think,
Yeah.
unfortunately. You mentioned a couple of the buildings there, and some of the renovations. Do you have any idea how many businesses are in Chiloquin?
No, not on top of my head, but
Yeah.
we've probably got about 20,
Yeah. Oh, nice.
and
Very
we've had
good.
a few more. We just one of the things that we were lacking for a while was good restaurants, and we were really pleased when El Rodeo opened up. So it came back. They used to be off of 97,
Yeah.
so it was a favorite spot for everyone. They were there when we first moved in. And then that building, unfortunately, they had to close that building. So they opened up. We have Zook's Barbecue now. We have a new one that's going to be opening up in May, Chilcon Grill. So we're really excited about that. We have a bakery that opened up in the Hervey building. So yeah, we're starting to have more food choices, which is great.
That's fun. Is there a lot of tourists that come to Chiloquin?
We do. We get quite a bit that'll come to the gallery because it is promoted all across the area, and it is also a visitor information center. And now with the EV chargers that we have that we put in, that also allows people to come and stop, charge up, and come shop in the gallery and stuff. So we actually do.
Yeah. We have an incredible artist community here. I don't know that people always recognize that. And you guys have that art gallery
hmm
up there. Do you have any idea how many artists have their stuff in there?
Well, we're at 110 right now.
Dang.
And then one of the things that our gallery likes to do is every year they do a high school student show. And we're working with Chiloquin High School, and it's going on right now. It just opened up a couple weeks ago. It'll go through mid-May, wherein the winners will be chosen, and we'll have a nice event at the end. And we had a record this year. We had 71 high school entries
Yeah.
in the student contest.
That's
So
pretty incredible.
mhm,
How many did you have in years previous?
maybe a quarter of that number.
Really?
Yeah.
I wondered how big the jump was. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's been growing. I think the new art teacher that started last year has been really good at helping to grow that, and it's a great thing to see the excitement, and some of them are just phenomenal.
Mhm.
We're really excited. So I can't wait to see which ones win the awards.
Who judges that?
Everybody does. So they come on
Okay.
in and able to fill out which ones they like, and they can come back multiple times and keep voting.
So it's kind of a people's choice.
It's all people's
That
choice.
would
Yeah.
be so hard. I don't think I could be a judge of other people's art. That'd be rough. You mentioned you came from California and you have a background in broadcast TV. Is there any of that experience that you use in this role now?
I do the candidate forms. So I'm the one behind the scenes recording them. We've tried each year grow and do more. So multiple cameras and record and edit it, that. And it's my love. I love still to this day audio and video stuff. So wherever I can find a way to squeeze it in, I like that.
hmm Have Have you ever thought about doing something with the city council role in a
Well, I
close
am
way?
the IT person for
Oh,
city council. So we did set it up
yes.
back during the COVID days so that our meetings are recorded and are zoomed out and everything. So, and our little parade that we do at Christmas time and at 4th of July, we'll get that recorded and stuff. So, and get that up on the air. But
Yeah. I didn't realize there was a Christmas parade. I feel really dumb right now. They didn't know there was a Christmas parade in
not every
Chiloquin.
year. Some years it
Okay.
does. We have a few different ones. So we have the 4th of July always happens. In the last few years, we were also blessed with having a flyover by the Air Force there, the Navy, I mean, and or Air Force. And then we often have a Christmas, and then the Klamath Tribes does a graduation parade in June.
Okay. I didn't realize that. So you said they happen sometimes. What's
Making
the driving
sure
factor?
weather sometimes, and
hmm
then just someone to coordinate it and help put it all together.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, what do you think the future of Chiloquin is?
Um,
Or what would you want it to be?
well, I think what most of us and what we hear the most from people is just continuing improvement. We don't want to grow, but at the same time, there is a lot of area around that there could be homes and different things. We just want it to thrive. I mean, it was a town at one point before our time. There was 4 or 5 gas stations, there was banks, there was, all kinds of stuff there. And I don't see that we'll necessarily get back to that, but the more we can meet the needs of our community, our residents, and they don't always have to drive into Klamath Falls, I think that we're doing a good job if we can make things like that happen.
Yeah. How do you have an idea of how big Chiloquin was like it is at its heyday? What was it like?
I haven't gotten to all that data yet. I'm still trying to go through some of
Yeah.
that with the museum and Herald News and stuff as we want to document some of that. But it was was interesting as my wife's uncle used to be a logger and he used to work in Chiloquin. And when we were met him several years ago, and he told us all about what it used to be like here. And it was pretty amazing. It was a pretty good sized town
Yeah.
at one point with all the lumber industry.
That's neat. What's the oldest building that's still standing? Do you know that?
I think most of the main street is still the oldest, although there
Mhm.
were several fires throughout the year, including a Thanksgiving Day fire
Oh,
that took out a lot of the downtown buildings. So a lot of the buildings were um, built or destroyed partially and then rebuilt and stuff. But that main part of First Avenue is the oldest.
I wondered. I was just curious which ones were left to renovate. I just think it's neat when people take old buildings and
Yeah, we still have. So we did the Hervey building. We're doing the old hotel, which is the last 2-story building that remains. And then I think other areas would be like the old the Modoc Motors and a couple others. So there's a few as you're coming into town that will be redone. Clyde's Market was taken down by the new landowner
mm,
recently, and I think they're working on the plans for that of what will be there. So
wow, very nice. Well, it sounds like you're involved in a lot of things, and I appreciate your time today.
thank you for having me.
We
It's
are
great.
getting a little bit close to the end, so I have some fun questions I ask everybody.
Okay.
I'm going to actually change them just a little bit, though. I ask everybody if I gave you a check for $250,000, what would you do with it in Klamath? But I'm going to ask what you do with that in Chiloquin.
Wow. I think it would be to fund some programs and look at what else the community needs and how we could make those improvements. Um, this is a really hard time for nonprofits right now with the federal funds that have been pulled back and some of the state funds. And just there's so many nonprofits that need help that a lot of the foundations that help are just inundated nowadays. So I would look at what we could do with our programs and stuff.
Yeah. Great. Do you have a role model?
Do I have a role model? Probably was my grandfather, who's not with us anymore. He was in his 60s, 70s when I was born, but he was someone who had come out from Kentucky when he was 13, 14, started working in the orange orchards and everything. He was a grafter. He ended up creating the Saticoy lemon that's used in a lot of the lemonades. Saved his money, bought a gas station, then a second one. And before I came along, he had had 5 gas stations. By the time I was a little kid, he had one left. But he was just amazing what all he had done.
That's a lot. What a neat thing about the lemon. That's kind of fascinating. Um, my last question is that if we were going to describe your perfect day in Chiloquin, if I wanted to spend a day in Chiloquin, what would you tell me to do?
Well, for me, it's probably different. I'm a fish addict. I love going out in beautiful weather and sitting at my pond and watching my koi and everything, swim around and eat and stuff like that. But I think a beautiful day would be a Friday farmers market day where you can browse around, see what's going on, go out somewhere and eat, just be
Mhm.
able to meet with people and talk.
Very good. Well, I really appreciate your time today. And thanks for all you're doing up in Chiloquin.
Thank you.
I
And thank you
appreciate it.
for this podcast. It's awesome.
Thank you. And thank you to our producer, 40 Deuce Films.